Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to this Gyana series webinar where we invite interesting people from the field of yoga, music, meditation, um, and other holistic wellness modalities. And today we have a very special guest with us, Ajinkya Uplopwar. By the way, Ajinkya, can you let me know if that's the right way to pronounce your
Yeah,
surname,
that's right.
Uplopwar?
Yeah, I was impressed that
It's
it's
quite
not
a
so common.
not a very common one, right?
Yeah, not at all a common name. With the surname, it becomes even more trickier to say in one go.
It's got a very musical ring to it, by the way.
Maybe the reason why I'm here.
So Ajinkya is basically so he was an his educational background is engineering, just like a lot of us, and then he moved into music, and he's a spiritual seeker. He's worked with the five elements, and also has done a lot of musical work, especially with the five elements, which is the main crux of this discussion. He's going to share his insights about how elements and also the sacred sites are interrelated, and how most of a lot of us here are also musicians or practitioners of yoga and all of that, and how we can also learn from your insights with this work. He has a website called ajinkyauplokwar.com, where he's put in a lot of his interesting tracks about with the five elements, and it's a very beautiful juxtaposition of video, music. Everything is very beautifully done. So without a lot of introduction, I think it's better that Ajinkya, you take over, and at least first you can give a bit of background about um, your journey, what got you into music and spirituality, and you know everything about you. Let's start off with that.
Wow. First of all, thank you so much. You already introduced me in such a nice way. But to tell you in brief, like, hi, Korean. So to tell you in brief, it's I was born in a Hindu family. They're fairly spiritual, and my dad had a transferable job, so we kept traveling like all throughout my childhood. We were traveling to another places every 4 years, every 5 years. So I've had too many friends from different places. I've had experiences in different lands, and looking from here, when I see the life, I could see that I was getting to know different shades of life all throughout that. Then I did engineering in Triple IT Allahabad, and after that, I went into corporate, like the normal flow of life. I went into corporate, did corporate for 3 good years, maybe a little more than three. And then something called me out that I cannot keep working on this because maybe music needs my full attention. I was fairly inclined towards music since my childhood. I loved singing as a kid. And as I grew up, even in college and all, I picked up few instruments and started composing little things. So I had a growing interest in music since ever. But at this time, when I was already working, something called me up, and it was like an inner voice or something that let's get all your energies towards music and let's make something. And I had great moral support from my family, my dad, my mom. They supported me for this decision, and they said that, yeah, go ahead with it. So after that, I went into some professional courses in music in Mumbai. I did production, I did Hindustani vocals. And after that, I started making my own compositions. But when COVID hit, it was a very new experience for every one of us. It was scary in so many ways. It was difficult, and it completely erased all our notions about life, how it should be, where it's going, and what it should be. So me and my other friend, a very amazingly talented artist, Faris, who is my friend from college, we both went into an expedition for 45 days in the five elemental temples. we in India, we have ancient temples from 13th century about the elements, all 5 elements. They are all situated in south of India. So we went there and we spend our time, good amount of time, like 4 or 5 days at every temple, meditating and recording the audio notes and things, what we feel about the experience with elements. The initial goal was to understand the experience with the elements on ourselves, so that then we can express it through music. And after doing that expedition, we came back, and then I spent like good 2 years producing it, mixing, mastering, and all of those things. It took me 2 years to do it, and then I released it. And after that, I'm trying my ways to share it with people. I'm finding new ways to how can I communicate these experiences and what I found from that thing with people, so that they can also relate. And if they find matter into it, go deep into those things. So in a brief, this is where I'm at. Like, I see myself combining music, science, and spirituality, all all that were like the pursuits of my life, into my work, like all together into the work. And yeah, this album is one of a prototype for those things.
Okay, that's very interesting. So for those who haven't really heard the album, we're going to share the link below. Um, but you spoke about the 5 elements, the temples that embody these 5 elements, and all of them that are located in the south of India. Uh, can you tell a little bit about, what did you exactly feel when you went to these temples?
Nice.
A
Actually,
little bit about.
I would like to start telling about this by telling that I was disconnected with the religious aspect of our living while I was in college, and I was completely detached with it. And going forward, experiences happened in my life that brought in the light that there is something beyond this physical reality. And like, I was already detached with religion, so I started looking at it in a very new way. So spirituality, as we speak and as I understand, is a little different than religion. And it's more of experimenting and dwelling into the realms that are even not known to our conscious mind. So we had an understanding of those things, but to hard code all the things, you need some experiences, also physical experiences. So all we knew about that existed from earlier times were these ancient temples in India. So we went into there to have a direct communication with the experience there. Like, we went there, we sat there, we meditated for hours, we talked to many people there, all priests. What do they think about elements? How do they perceive elements? Are they some deities for them, like in human form, or are they energies? How do they perceive it, and how do we interact with it? So we took this whole expedition as a token for us to see that what we are reacting with is also tangible in ways. It's not just thought in mind, and it's not delusion. Like, it's more of knowing something that is not obvious, but not delusion. So to get those things in place, I think a physical expedition was required, and it did really help us. Like, when we went into different elements, it was a different feel. People were talking different things there. Priests, we were very lucky, I would say, that we met some amazing priests. Like, they were not talking in a religious tone. They were really open to our conversations and the questions that we put in. So how does elements react with us in our general life? And to understand all those things, we went into the temples. Just a second, I'm getting a call. हेलो. उस पर रजिस्टर कर, और उसके बाद फिर तेरे को मेल पर लिंक आ जाएगा. वही पोस्ट से रजिस्टर कर सकती है, उसके बाद फिर लिंक आ जाएगा. हाँ, उसमें से, हाँ, इंस्टा से ढूंढ ले. My sister, actually, she cannot get into the
Nice. This is going to be recorded and uploaded, so all of this is going to also come up here.
Yeah,
Your
nice.
conversation with your sister.
it will be a good
Anyway,
remark.
so can you give like more of a tangible sort of things in which most of us can understand? Like, what did you exactly feel? How did you really go about this? So you said 5 temples that embodied the 5 elements. Firstly, which are these temples, and what exactly did you feel when you went there, and what was your discovery when you spoke with the priests?
Oh, it will be a very long story if I start telling you in detail about that, but I'll try to say some things in brief. The five elements are air, water, fire, earth, and ether. Four of them are the physical elements that we see everywhere: the fire, water, air, and earth. These are things that these are tangible. We can experience them in physical forms everywhere. Ether, on the other hand, is the fifth element. It's the element that gives a playground for all other four elements to act. And to understand that, what does it mean to be a composition of five elements as a human? It was interesting because we are a complex, an amazingly complex machine, if I want to put it like that. And we have various different faculties that work for everything, for every aspect. If you eat just as little as like to drink water or to go make a coffee for myself, there will be aspects of every element that include in it. I will really describe more about it. Like I would start with, let's talk about earth. Like earth brings us the endurance, it brings us the discipline of things. Like in our life, in our regular life, the more patterned we are, the more strict we can be with our decisions and ways we are doing it's a quality of earth. Imagine yourself as a tree. The stronger the earth is, the longer you can go, the wider you can be, and you can stay for a long time. It's like the battery for this amazing instrument that we are. Earth is like the battery for us. We go deeper into another concept, the water. Water brings us the emotional realm. Water brings us the empathy when we are working with people, and to understand their emotions, to understand them better, and things like that. Empathy is required. So water brings us flexibility, empathy, adaptability. All these characters of human comes from the element water. You go into fire. Fire is passion, it's desire, it's the willpower. It's why you are waking up every day and doing something. It's the fire in you. So fire is also dangerous because the lust, greed, and all anger, all these things are also aspects of fire. So to balance the elements brings us a particular way of dealing with things. And the balance is not a constant reference for every one of us. I will have a different one, you will have a different one. Every one of us will have a unique composition of these five things. We go into air. Air is design thinking and intelligence. It's how we put our emotions into expression, how we speak. The way I'm speaking, I'm framing my things, it's all done by the element air. You go into ether. Ether, according to me, the first thing, ether is the most difficult element to explain in words. But according to me, all the things, all the miracles, all the manifestations, and the direct link with the cosmic energy and things, this comes from the ethereal element, the spirituality. And many of us feel that we are connected to energies, be it guardian angels, be it other deities, anything. All those connections which are completely non-tangible, they are facilitated by the element ether. So when we balance all these things according to our personal, specific, unique composition, when we come to a balance into it, we are reacting with it in a most legit way. It's just about that. Each one of us have a unique thing to do. Each one of us has a unique perspective about life. But to get to the reality of it, how we are feeling, and how can we be most effective in it, a balanced state is the best one. And then you can again go and enhance it according to things. Like if there is a particular event where you need more fire, once you understand that these aspects come from fire, so you meditate on that particular element, enhance it, and bring yourself to the capability of doing those things. So it is important. Or even like it, of course it's important only if you're interested. Nothing is important. A life can just start and end with doing nothing also. But it's just the curiosity of us and finding the deeper self and things like that, that brings us to exploring more things. So the five elements somehow compile all the aspects of our life: the relationships, the work dynamics, our goals, our ambitions, and our understanding about physical and non-physical reality. All of that comes through these five elements. And even if you talk scientifically, we can distinguish what is water. We are 70% water. The bones and the skin that we have is earth, and the fire is what, like the bile and all the things. You have always experienced fire when it is unbalanced. Like it's never like when it's balanced, you rarely feel it, but when it's unbalanced, you feel it. Maybe you are not aggressive enough in the situations when aggression is required, or maybe you're not determinant enough in situations where it is required. That tells you, like every situation can tell you that maybe you are lacking in this. If you have too much of water per se, like you'll be super sensitive to everything. If I say something small, even to like even mildly offensive to you, you would spend 2 days just thinking about it. You wouldn't be able to come over it. All these things are like being more sensitive in your emotional centers. If you are less sensitive, lack of water, you become apathetic. Like you are never connected with anyone. Like even if someone is crying besides you, you wouldn't feel a thing. So similarly, like we are going in this world where we are disconnected with nature a lot. We are more in our minds. We are being told about, okay, this is your work right now, you do it for the next month. We don't focus on the other aspects of life while we are in that work. And when we are in that process, we somehow bring disbalance in this composition. So a constant reminder of such things, or even having tracks and things like how I made, to just randomly hear it sometimes and all, brings your consciousness more towards balance. And then your body is amazing. It does things, most of the things it does automatically. You just need to tell it that, okay, I'm ready for these things to be done on me. That's the only thing we need to do. And that's why we are finding more and more stimulations from outside on how can we learn more into these things.
It's quite interesting. In fact, it's quite interesting that you also mentioned that ether is such an interesting element. I think it's mostly, Eastern cultures that have, rather Indian cultures that have really been curious about shunya and infinity, and things that are very non-tangible. Like if you look at Chinese elements or Persian elements, they are more tangible. Like it's metal, wood, and this. But there's this incorporation of ether and these infinite or nothing. It's a curiosity, very spiritual way. Tell me, how did you a little more about the temples? Like, how did you really feel when you went to these? Sorry, can you please the participants? Can you please mute yourself? Yeah. So, what did you really feel when you went to these? When you meditated in these sacred sites? Did you like? Did you feel that there's a dominance of these elements? And how did you go about incorporating that into music and sound?
Mm. So to get to this point, I was telling it was time of COVID when we started it. Like I was just before that, I was working, like I was doing live gigs in Mumbai to earn, and I was single. I was not in a relationship. I was like the monetary things, like I just left a very lucrative job, and then I was not having money. And so I was challenged from all the aspects of life. Like if I wanted to feel, I was challenged from all the aspects of life. And in this part, I believe that I'm not balanced. I really need work on all these things. So when I went into the temples, I just left myself to see how it's interacting with me. But like when we went to the water temple, it's Jambukeshwarar. Like when we went to water temple, a priest, he was like, he came to us and he was asking some things, like we asked him some things, but then he asked, what are you actually doing here? So I told them that we are not religious as per se, but we are here for experimental purposes, and we want to really feel the essence of water, and that's why we are. He was so empathetic towards us. He gave us a very nice place to sit. He said that go there, sit there. Very less people come there, and there is a absolute silence for you. You can just be there for as long as you want. And like when I was meditating, like I'm not even joking, but in every temple that we went to, like the meditations were super strong. Like they were never less than 2.5 hours. We would not even understand, but the meditations will go for like very long. So in that meditation also, I was I was like nicely hugged from inside. Like, I don't know which deity or what was doing it, which energy was doing it, but I was very nicely hugged. And I was given this thing that, yeah, you'll understand things, just leave, just let yourself and things. And his words, the priest words were also, his empathy was also running around somewhere there. And it took me some time to come into the state of nothingness, because that's when the meditations are super powerful for me, from my experiences. So I went into those places, and after the meditations, we would come out. I would just write all the things I felt in it, or after it, or how am I interacting with this particular element. We would write all those things. A major complex problem that I already had, because I wanted to make musical tracks out of it. I was also conscious about what sounds actually gets my consciousness towards this element, towards water element, let's per se. So there was a big river behind it, which was actually very small when we went, because all of it dried. And but there was actually water coming from the Shivlinga in that temple, and they were symbolically representing water in a very nice way. There were stories of, like, old time stories, what Sati did and how Shiva interacted with them. Why did this story came into picture, and why did this temple was built, and all those things. They are more personified stories where they have kept Shiva, Sati, and all these people as people. But we took it as energies. Like, we were looking at it to not be confused by the appearance of DT and energies. We were like taking it just like, okay, this is a vibration or energy that we need to interact with. So when we were in Water Temple, we were talking about only those concepts. We were exploring more into it. We were hearing more of those things. So when it was a vibe, it was a realm. And as soon as we shifted from water to a different temple, it would completely change. It would really completely change. And of course, I did not know how to express it very well into words. That's why I made the music for it, because that encompasses the whole experience. It's not the tracks, like I cannot say that here water track to balance your water. It's more of like, it's my experience into the water element. This is what I experienced. Maybe you can associate with it, you can relate with it, or you can learn from it. It all depends on you. It depends on you how you interact with the tracks. But they are not tracks to balance things. They are more my experience into those realms. So if you listen to the tracks, you would feel me even more than my words, than what I felt in particular places. And but for me, it was the most profound experience was Ether Temple, Chidambareshwara. It was wow. It was. I'll tell you a simple, stupid story. I was sitting in front of the linga in Chidambareshwara, and like, it's a long time of meditation now. Okay, I'm sitting in Padmasana and things, and I think that I was connected to Nataraja, and I'm already having talks with him, and I'm saying that, okay, Nataraja, guide me to something, tell me something, give me one word, give me some signal or something like that. And suddenly a priest comes, and in the same time, like, my leg was very, how do you say, chiti chad jane ko, like it was blocked. So I just straightened my leg, and I was sitting like that. And a priest from far, he was shouting at me, hey, what are you doing? You don't meditate like this, meditate like this. And like, my other friend, he knows that I'm a little aggressive when someone else tells me what to do and not. So he was a little disturbed that, okay, this guy is gonna fight now. But I just laughed at it, because I was asking Nataraja that give me a sign and things like that. And this was a sign that no one else can tell you what you want to do. Like, whatever other people are gonna tell you, you're gonna find it stupid. So I had empathy with that guy, like, who told me to bring back the leg and sit in a nice position to meditate. He didn't see that we were like that for hours, and it was just a moment that I took it off. But it was for me a great signal to go ahead into it. And then I was very ecstatic. Like, when I came out of it, I was euphoric. I was talking a lot about that experience. I wrote a lot about that experience. It was very profound for me.
That's quite interesting. Um, Again, for those who have not really heard your tracks, um, give us some idea, like, how do you really incorporate uh, elements into music? Like, how do you really perceive sound and elements? How do they work together? Like, what really signifies in terms of sound? What signifies earth to you? What signifies ether to you? And ether specifically, because again, because of it being such a interesting space holding element.
Ether for me was more bells and resonances, and I'll come back to this. But the interaction with sounds and all, like I took good 2-3 months only to categorize sounds in different elements, like what sounds make up water, what sounds make up fire, and things like that. Like I had an experience back in temple, and when I was sitting with my computer in front of in my studio, I would design and synthesize a lot of sounds, and then I would meditate on it too. Like I would take a day or two to understand if this sound is actually making me feel the same way that I felt there. So it was more of a hit and trial and also conscious things. Just before going to this expedition, I was doing this Indian classical raga course where they were teaching about how to cure different ailments in our body through Indian ragas. So many learned and amazing people have already researched onto it, that which raga can be helped for which ailment. Like, for example, if you are going through hypertension or things like that, stress, anxiety, and things, Bhairav raga can really help. It has the tonal quality and the difference between the notes placed in such a way that it brings your mind to rest. Like that's the science behind it. Like if and I understood that if I go behind learning everything, it will take me a whole lifetime. So I just took it from them that okay, I believe that the ragas will do things. And then I started experimenting with it. So every element had many ragas. So I went into listening and interacting with so many things and understanding which one fits best with my experience and my composition of this track. And yeah, it was the biggest part was to make the sound bed for tracks. Like the tracks are filled with melodies, mystical poetries, mantras, and different things, but there is a bed that's behind it. I don't think even if you hear it with normal Bluetooth speakers, it will be very audible. But if you put it with headphones and all, there is a complete sound bed behind these things. And that took the most time because for me, that was deciding, okay, this is air, this is water, this is fire. Like if you go through the album, you might feel that they are very distinct from each other. There are no two tracks that sound similar or that feel similar. My voice will be common in all the tracks. My friend's voice will be common in those tracks, but the feel would be different. So for me, the challenge was to make the sound better and to synthesize it. And I'm still learning it. Like it's ever growing. Like the more I'm interacting with people, knowledgeable people, it is coming more to me. Wow, I need to tell you one more thing. Like, Sanj, I hope that you just did a webinar with him, right? Some time ago. So I went to Rishikesh few years before this, like just after leaving my job, I went to Rishikesh and I met Sanj, like just like for the first time. I didn't know him before. And we were having tea and we did a jam. Like I was with my guitar and vocals and he was with his handpan and many other different instruments. So we jammed for a while. We felt nice with each other, and then we were having a tea on the terrace. And I was wearing this Sat Chakra wala mala, like the necklace with all seven chakras, and they were with different colors. And we were just talking, and I was looking at it, and suddenly it struck me like, what the fuck? Like red, green, violet, all these colors. Like the color is inversely proportional to frequencies, like sound, and the colors have a direct proportion. So if a particular chakra can resonate with a particular color, it definitely has to resonate with one particular scale or some sound with it. So depending on the colors of chakras, you can figure out which scale or which note to play to enhance the experience. So like for red, you can use C sharp and things like that. You go into the proportion of those colors and you find it. So that was actually the basis of everything, because when I realized that, it was like a big thing that fuck, I'm always listening to sounds. I was always in science. Why did this not hit me before? Like why not to make things like that? And that became the basis, and then I was dwelling more and more into it. So with these tracks, there are many elements, like the right scale that is being used, then the right ragas, then what I felt were the right elements for sounds which denote a particular element, that then powerful mantras from Rig Veda to balance a particular element. I went into reading all those things also. So I combined all of these things. Scientifically, it's designed in a way that even if you're not conscious about it while listening to it, it'll still do something in your body. It will still resonate with some vibrations and it will still do something. But of course, as everything, if you're not conscious about it, you cannot get right results from it. It's what you accept only happens to you. Some things that you just don't allow in your consciousness, they can never change you. So it requires an openness to the concept and then surrendering to the things. Also, your body does a lot of things. Hearing it will do a lot of things. I have experienced it myself, my friends, like when we started listening to the album, when I was very curious, I told them that go here to this track. They all had different favorite tracks. And in 1 month of listening to it, it got changed. Like the sequence completely got changed. And with running time, it's still changing. Like still one of my friends, sometimes he says that, wow, Ether is amazing. Sometimes he's like, no, I want to listen to Fire. It's like, you cannot be specific onto one element for a long time because that's the nature of body. You cannot just focus on one thing. It's a composition of all five. So yeah, to answer your question, it was more of a hit and trial and combination of knowledge that we as humans have already gathered from different aspects and from different learning schools of thoughts.
Very interesting. So you were also talking about the, specifically about colors, and that gave you this revelation about frequencies, right? That certain chakras might be associated with certain chakra frequencies. Now, if you look at generally the idea that people have about frequencies and chakras, it goes, there are very diverse opinions. Like some people say कि मूलाधारा के लिए there is C. Now C could be any octave, right? It could be C in the second octave, third octave, fourth octave, which are all different frequencies. Now if it's D, it can be in different octaves. C, D, E, F, whatever, those seven saptaswaras can be. So specifically, how do you really look at, frequencies and chakras in your mind? Uh, is there like a certain reference ki ye frequencies work for this chakra or any of that?
That I would say this is the magic. Like I cannot just bring out the magic and tell to everyone. It's like something like that, but it's the understanding of music. First you go into the bass frequency that your color resonates with, and then how you build a musical experience onto it depends on every person. Like if you had to make something, you will do it differently, I'll do it differently. But we can still base on some facts. Like red, for that matter, red has a particular range of frequencies. It's going to look red only if it starts from a particular frequency till a particular frequency. Now, like I said, that we are complex devices, amazing devices, right? But that doesn't mean that we all are iPhones. Like for iPhone, if a particular DMG is working, it's going to work for all the iPhones. It's not the same with humans. What's working for me might not work for you, or what's working okay for me might work wonders for you. It is all possible. So we are all working in a gray area. There is no particular number, okay, do this number and you're going to be like this. You can never say that. It keeps changing for everyone. So it's more than anything, it's an experience that you make around it. And then as you experience it and as you get more conscious about it, you get more specific to your own frequencies. You'll understand it yourself. You won't need anyone else to tell you that, okay, do this for this. Once you're aware of those parts, you automatically know what's working for you and what's not.
Interesting. So it's not like a frequency that is for everyone. So everybody is uniquely basically, or there could be sort of a range as well. Say for example, when they say red, red is still a very it's a Mooladhara color, if I'm not wrong, right? And it also promotes some kind of more primal sort of feelings. I think brands also use this red color to promote, more primal feelings. So, assuming that, like, is maybe there must be some sort of a range, but
Yeah,
it's not.
there are teachers that I met,
Yeah,
good teachers
because,
that I met, who have particular
sorry.
frequencies. There are good, yoga teachers that I've met in recent times who have a fair knowledge of this is the exact frequency used for Muladhara. Like there are different schools of thoughts. I cannot say it in a very specific way because I don't know it yet. I really believe that there is a spectrum to it. It's not a particular one frequency number thing. I believe that it's a spectrum thing. Maybe some years later from now, maybe I'll say one frequency, but right now I believe in the spectrums, not particular numbers. That's my area of experimentation at this moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yes, that is true. I think there's a lot of work that has to happen in this whole space of sound. It seems like such a nascent space compared to so many other fields. Sound. So, by the way, the if anybody feels like asking questions, feel free to do so. Let's keep it from now on a little more interactive as well. So the stage is open. Whoever feels like asking any questions. In the meanwhile, till somebody figures some questions to ask. Um, uh, Tell us a little bit about your transition. You said that you worked in the corporate field for some time, and then you moved into music, right? Uh, a lot of people in their minds want to transition into things that they love, but there's always some strings holding them back. How did you make a transition, and was it an easy transition? What were the sort of challenges, practically speaking?
Wow, it's a good question because most of the people want to leave their jobs because they don't like it or there is something holding them back and things like that. For me, it was a crazy experience. I was enjoying my life like anything. I had a bungalow. We were three friends living with our girlfriends, and at that time a, it was a thing of liberation that wow, you're doing it. We were partying every day, and everything was going amazing. My job was amazing. I was a user experience designer, so I could wear anything to office. I could be like anything. Like it's a user experience designer. He's allowed to do anything. He can come anytime. He can go anytime. It was like that. So my job was amazing. My colleagues were amazing. I loved all of them. I had great fun with them. I had no problems with it. Still, I had this big feeling that I cannot continue this. It was like a surety. Like I did not have doubts that, oh, maybe because my boss is treating me like that, that's why I want to leave it. I did not have confusions. I just knew that I need to do it. And at that time, I was already 26. So there was also sort of urgency knowing the market of India and how you can survive as a musician, because at that time I was not quite as spiritual. I was spiritual, I would say, but not to base concepts onto it. I would say, yeah, that is happening. Wow, that could happen. I was open to all the possibilities, but not more channel to it, not more channel to providing an experience of a certain kind. So at that time it was very vague for me that what do I want to do in music? Do I want to go to Bollywood? Do I want to be a singer? Do I want to be, I did not know anything. It really touched my heart. Like since my childhood, I would see that different sounds were bringing me different realms. Like I would feel different. Like I was crying to love songs even when I had no girlfriends and things. Like when even I was not fallen in love even once for my life. So sounds do bring different realms to me. And this time when I was at this verge that should I leave my job, what should I do after this and all, I talked to my dad, and he was like, if you want to do something, it's the good time. You know how to earn money right now. If you ever come to a position where you would not have money to eat or anything, you go back to your corporate and do something else. But this is the right time. If you're feeling, if you want to do something of your own, you just go. So it was, I was morally supported in such a way. My mom was a little concerned that you are going from a luxurious life to not getting any money. Like, how would you cope up with that and all? But my dad was pretty chill. He was like, yeah, you'll do it. So I think his chillness and my like both of my parents' support in this thing like made it really easy. Like I was struggling with my inside that what is it that I really want to do? Like what kind of music or what kind of different things? Oh wow, he's gone.
Yeah, I think some problem of electricity or something. But anyway, you can continue.
So it was more of a pursuit than a second choice, if I could put it like that. So it was quite easy for me to just shift from here to there. It was difficult for me to understand myself, what I was actually doing, and how do I find myself worth into all of this. Because my experience with life was very varied. Like I loved science, I loved physics, and then I was doing designing, and then I want to do music. And I was also thinking in my head, am I just a person who's hopping from one place to another because he's just not able to contain it for a long time? So I also was having those doubts and things, but that was the difficult bit for me, but not the physical transformation. No.
Yep, when you have a lot of doubts and you're hitting the bottom, like a lot of realization you kind of explore in your life. Definitely. So, can you tell us something about like how does the sound influence consciousness and like probably to understand like somehow we can see it from the lens that sound can help in the self journey. How it can possibly do.
Sound can help in consciousness. So let's
Yeah.
understand what's,
What is
according
the
to me, is
relation? Yeah.
consciousness.
Yes.
I would like to explain what I think is consciousness. It's the awareness of the self. Like it's knowing yourself to the depth that is not accessible for us all the time. So that's why we come into practices like meditations and things, to give us a particular time where we are not thinking about anything else but focusing on self. So consciousness, let's, if we just start with this, that consciousness is this, the awareness of ourself. What takes us away from this awareness, like all the other things that doesn't let us connect with us, is noise right now. If you want to be aware, everything that's taking you away from it is noise for you. And during our life and days, like we are going through many complex emotions, many different things, we are hearing different things, we are all scattered. Like you might have experienced it, that you wake up in the morning and suddenly your mind interacts with everything that has happened last night and everything that you're hoping for today to do, and all the problems and everything will come rush to your mind at the same time. Take some time to understand that you are you right now. Like you are not an accumulation of all these problems and desires. Like you are you, and then you interact with everything that's brought to you from the outside. Hi bro.
Hey, sorry, my computer just switched off and I didn't notice the power didn't get connected at all.
We are
Anyway,
talking about consciousness and how sound can help in consciousness.
all right.
So
Please go ahead.
when we come into a full spectrum where there is noise and everything, we need to channelize ourselves to a particular domain where we want to work in. I believe all five senses can provide us the background for that. For me, the sound relates most, so I'm working in this domain. So for me, like if you are bringing in your consciousness through sounds, you are also blocking the things that lie beyond that domain. For example, let's take brain waves. If you are training your brain for a 4 hertz frequency or neural firing, it's gonna do things more effectively in that domain. All the things that get helped with that kind of frequency firing is being helped for us. So when we feel particular things, if I'm too meditative, I can develop a different kind of a brainwave. If I'm very active and very using my mind technically and analytically, I'll be using a different kind of, like my brain would be set to a different kind of a wave, different vibration. So using sound for consciousness is a reverse process. Like you give your brain the sounds that is removing all the noise and bringing you in a domain. And once you are in a domain and with the consciousness that you want to work on this particular element, it just becomes easier for you to understand the patterns, what you're going through and how can you develop into it. It can also bring in the things that are not present in your consciousness. Like when you interact with sounds, it's bringing things deep from your subconscious also, which you keep storing over the time, over the period of time, but are not conscious about it. So using particular sounds and using particular frequencies and domain makes you more focused on a particular realm. And for non-physicality, the intangible things that we have, sound is one of those things. We feel it, but we cannot touch it and all. So we already associate some kind of divinity with it. Like since the childhood, we have heard tracks and music that have changed us, that has altered our state of consciousness and things. So it's one thing that we are not doubting all the time, that wow, how can a sound make me like this? If I put a sound to you and I tell you that, okay, focus on your root chakra or focus on your sacral chakra at this time, and you are not doubting me that if he's using the right sound. If I'm saying it, you'll understand it. And that blockage was covered by this existence of, how do I say this metaphysical nature of sound, if I may say. Like it's beyond our sensory perceptions sometimes. Like we feel more than what we expect we could feel. So sounds, if they are designed properly, and if they are, I believe that if they're mathematically put in a nice place, you can hit different energy centers of your body.
Like aligned with the right kind of vibrations.
Right kind of thoughts and everything,
Thought.
like your mind,
Okay.
like the mystical poetry and mantras, they help your conscious mind to bring your thoughts only to the things and the words that are being spoken in that time. And the frequencies and the background is already getting your body and different vibrations in your different parts to tune to that. So it helps.
Yeah. Yeah. True. So everything is made of 5 elements. In the universe also, our device also is made of 5 elements, right? As we are discussing. To balance these 5 elements, how we can use sound as a tool, or like what are the things that we can do playing with the sound? We can find the right balance of these 5 elements in a human body or human voice.
We as in human beings, we are still figuring out how to do it most effectively, but there are many suggestions to do it. My album is one of the suggestion. You can go try that. Like you can associate with that experience if it helps you. But there are many schools of thoughts. You can start doing, okay, let's leave everything. What we have is complete in itself. Like you don't need external stimulus to do things inside of you. This is a fact of matter. Okay, so whatever we are using is to create more stimuli in a particular domain. Like if you're using tracks, it's because you are already focused on to using sound for your help of meditation, something like that. So when you wake up, we all have vocal cords and things. When you wake up, just try humming something. The lowest sound that you can produce. When you wake up, just hum it. When you hum it, you'll feel different vibrations. For everyone, it's gonna be different. If you're musically trained, or if you're into music in some ways, you are using your vocals. Also put tanpura, maybe tanpura or some particular scale, and try to align your voice with it, and just feel the vibration. You don't have to be an amazing singer. You don't have to be anything. You just have to feel the vibration, and that sound will just open up your body to feel vibrations in different places. And once you're open to that, once you know something, like you're aware of something, you just start going deep into it. So first is the awareness that sounds can alter your consciousness, can help in transcending. First awareness is this, and second is just to feel it in yourself. Like once you have felt the vibration inside, then you become more curious. Okay, I want vibration there, here. Can it be like that? Can it be like this? And things like that. And there are various works from different artists and amazing people that are there on internet also.
So the approach is like finding your awareness into particular part of your body and finding
Any
how
part of
you're
any part of
vibrating,
body.
how it is vibrating with the
Yes,
current sound,
yes.
probably. Yeah, that's nice.
So ideally, nothing from outside is needed. You can balance your elements just by being you. And we were designed like this. Like we have to rediscover this thing. This is not some invention or anything that we are coming towards. It's something that we have forgotten long before. Earlier, we used to live in forests and nature. Like our bodies were exposed to all these 5 elements all the time. Like when was the last time you saw a clear sky or stars in it? Living in cities, it's just not possible. Like we are not interacting with the most basic things that nature provides us on for free. We are living inside this concrete jungle where all the nature is blocked from us. That's why now we are in a need to use it through sounds and everything. That, like, now you're sitting here to do the earth track and you're hearing to the forest sounds behind and all. Like, your mind is training yourself to get the right packets from those sound. But naturally, if you say just going out in the forest can do that for you, it's just not available for us now. So that's why we need to come up with more digital solutions for things. And what can we keep in our pocket? Like, if I just want to do it right now, how do I do it? Okay, I'll put the headphones and I'll go for it. So
To imitate the natural sounds in a way. How do you see mantras? Mantras are also, in a way, a pattern of sound, or like how to explain, I don't know, but you can probably help us understand what are the actually the mantras, and how can we use mantras um, in
I
terms
can
of
tell you
practice.
something that I perceive from those things, but they are deep codes. They are universal codes. Like, first of all, mantras are built in the language Sanskrit. Sanskrit being the most minimalistic language. Like, Sanskrit is the only language where in very less words you can express everything. So it brings you to the minimalism. Also, Sanskrit, as the scriptures and as the texts say, is the most ancient language. So it's the first time we started communicating with the energies, with another fellow beings and everything. So this language, when it was brought, people researched into things. Like, for example, I tell you a mantra, Om Tyam No Agne Varunasya Vidvana Devasya Hedo Avyasisishtha. In this thing, like, Yajishto Vahintam Shoshuchano Vishwa Dvesha Gumsi Pramamukhyasmat. So the phonetics, they become very important, because the way fa, pa, fa, kha, all these things are coming, they are designed in a way to interact with nature. Like, when you go for fire mantras, you'll see more of it's to give the air to the fire. So they are designed in different ways. So just taking it from there, to by believing our ancestors that they did a good job and they made the mantras right, we can we can just use
So
it. Like, they just made it for us so that we can use it. We don't have to go to rebuild again. So I went into Rig Veda, understood the meaning of different mantras, and how could it really affect in the inner work, or when we are particularly in one element, what mantras can actually benefit us and how do they do it. So for me, mantras are something that is a language even people can understand, and even the energies around us can perceive. So it's a deeper communication, and it
yeah,
also brings you
yeah.
into trance.
Even though we don't understand the meaning of it, but pronouncing it or chanting it in a right way probably can give us some more benefit about it. Right.
And they are only gateways. Like, I've been talking to some amazing people, very enlightened people, and they tell us that mantras are only the gateways. Like, once you get them too good, you stop saying that at all. Like, you go through a phase, once you understand the mantras, then you recite it, then you learn it too much, and then you're saying it every time when you want to invoke something, and then you reach a state where you stop saying it at all, because that's just bringing you the energy. You have already connected with the energy that this mantra is transcending you to. So you just stop saying it at all. So it's mantras are very important, and you can understand that you have transcended if you stop requiring a need for mantra. Ultimately, if you stop requiring a need for mantra.
Yep. Is there any relation between the ancient knowledge and the modern science, sound science, basically, if I say? Do you find any correlation or any finding recently?
Relation, wow. I don't know if I can tell you about the relations, because the old sounds have not yet died. They are still here. We can still perceive them. But I would say that earlier in the times, when we were more balanced in our all five elements, when we were more connected to the nature and all, our consciousness was amazingly elevated, and we would understand things without having a number to it. Right now, our minds are more deceptive. Like, they want to know the number for everything. Okay, if you're playing this frequency, what frequency is that? What brainwave is that? What is the difference between these two waves that you put? We now need to know it. Otherwise, they become like a barrier for us. So modern science has given us the way to really dissect it and really get very precise into what you want to use. Like earlier, we would just do it automatically. Earlier, that frequency, we would just absorb the particular frequency without even knowing or without even having to think about it. But now, as we are getting more and more unaware of everything that we are and more aware of this illusion that is spread around the world, like specific sounds help you. Like, because when you get so specific, you can show the result. Like you put someone in the delta state for a little while, they will definitely receive it. And they, after this whole session, they will tell you that, yeah, they are in a different state. Not just because it's placebo, it's working, it's science, that's why it's doing it. So now we have more instruments and things to gauge and to understand what we are exactly doing. And once we understand that, we can design more onto it. So modern science and modern sounds have given us this ability. The synthesizers are amazing and all these things are amazing. Even the quality and the vibrations, the way it now sounds is amazing. It's just amazing. Like the quality of sound that you can get now is amazing, but our ability to absorb from it has gone very less. I would say.
Very true. In fact, the fact that our intellect has become so much sharper. The five elements have also become now around 130 elements in the periodic table.
I know. Yeah. It's all
We've just broken it down. Tuck, tuck, tuck.
definitely it's all the ways of dissecting or categorizing thing, and how far are you looking for this concept. If you're deep within inside yourself, if you're thinking something so empathetically, it's so difficult to analyze the existence of ether or maybe earth at that time. But you go out and you see that, wow, this is the combination of all life. So it also depends on from where you're looking at. You can
True.
classify life into 5 parts, into 4 parts, into 10,000 parts, depending on where you're looking at it from. So it's one kind of classification of 5 elements. There is another for to working on the same thing. You can go for 7 chakras. You can go for 5 elements. You can go for different concepts. There are many concepts.
True. Paras asks a question: any book, literature, video that we can use to start our journey of wellness? But I'm assuming pertaining to music wellness. Have more clarity for the self and sharing with others.
It's more of a general topic now. Like the category of keeping it for music and all doesn't make sense, because once we are open in some gates in our consciousness, all 5 senses are open to receive from them. So of course, music or anything will be open for it. But for
But is
me,
there any? Sorry. Go ahead.
no, please.
No, is there any ancient texts that specifically work with sounds and say human consciousness?
Not
Like
the yoga,
this whole lum vum. There are some texts that discuss
yeah,
about
the
it, like
beat.
that.
Yeah,
Is there
probably
any?
the Nada Yoga also like somehow
Yeah,
resembles it.
Speaking a lot about it. Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking a lot about the resonance and how do you find your transcendence into it, and to connect with the resonance of the world, or to connect with the resonance of different planets. Like it's no more a myth now that the planets have an effect on us. Like astrology is now a science. Like now the whole world is recognizing it as a science. Sometime back when you and I were kids, like we would just see that, oh, ये तो ढोंगी बाबा है, पता नहीं क्या करने आया है, कुछ भी बता
सही
देगा.
बात है. सही बात है. सही बात है. So कोई ऐसा कोई book है that specifically that
For
you?
me, like The Power of Subconsciousness by Joseph Murphy, it changed. Like it opened my gates to see कि अच्छा, I am not the mind, or I can train myself in ways that I don't even understand. Like so, for that, it was like an opening gate for me. उसके बाद मैंने काफी books पढ़ी हैं. I cannot put a sequence to it कि कब क्या पढ़ा और कैसे कब पढ़ा और किससे, like what which book instilled what kind of knowledge in me. It's a mixture of all of those things. But I would say, if you are too intellectual in your thinking and less devotional, I think go for Power of Your Subconscious Mind. It will open you for non-physical realm intellectually. Like it'll not threaten your mind. It will support your mind for doing it. So it's a good book. From there, you can go for yoga, and there are many amazing autobiographies of many yogis. You can go. Maybe even Korean people have amazing things about it. No.
Yeah.
No, but she's a well-read and she's amazing in astrology and everything. So
I think, yeah. Also, what are the commercial aspect of the kind of music and spiritual music that you're creating? Your kind of genre. Can you help us understand?
yeah, I'm also going out with a magnifying glass to look at those aspects. Where are the commercial aspects of these? But to tell you my experience in last 2 years, I after making this album, I went to places to perform it and to see if people are connecting with it and how can I improve in it. My intention was to get better into it, and I was traveling different places. I went to Rishikesh, Dehradun, Uttarakhand, like Rishikesh, Dehradun, and then I went to Billing and some places in Himachal. I also went to Goa, and I'm exploring different places for the same concept where we know that spiritual people exist or people are open for such kind of music. And I'm going at that places and I see the places that have amazing sound quality and good speakers. They want to serve liquors and they want to have the Bollywood parties. They don't give a fuck about how effective music can be served to people. And the places that really want to do such things, they don't have any speakers and all. They want you to sit with a guitar or sit with one instrument and just do it in the open. All of that is doable, but for me it was difficult because there are so many digital sounds also backing it, so I needed good speakers, and traveling with all this setup is very, very difficult. Like if I just take all my electronic instruments and acoustic elements, that instruments that I use for the show, I cannot travel with a flight. It's just not possible because I cannot put all these delicate things into baggage. I have to take it, and there is a limit to that. So it's very difficult to travel with it and then being offered very less money, which doesn't even cover your travel sometimes. So it's an aspect that even I'm looking with a magnifying glass, but people are getting aware of it. Like recently, I went to Israel, and they're amazing people doing amazing jobs. They have the right equipments. They are not being, how do I say, like they're not right now. If I go to some place, they'll be like, we don't have tuning fork, we don't have this particular speaker, and we don't have that. There people have everything and more than what you can need. They already have it, and then they ask you that what do you want to use. So it's a completely different society there. We are building it to it maybe, and there are many places yet to discover. I guess I find a place. I hope that I find a place where I could see the commercial aspect of it. But right now it's more of like I earn from non-spiritual things. Like I sometimes work for other people as a producer and all, get a little money for travel, and then I go explore something, come back. My parents help me most of the times. Some of my friends help me amazingly. Like there are some friends who just keep giving me some amazing instruments at times, and like it just cheers me up, it warms me up. It's like, okay, I got what I require. Let's go ahead.
I have one more question. Like all the participants or the people who are working for seeking spirituality or doing some such any kind of practices, how they can incorporate the sound in their day-to-day life to get better results or speed or expedite their journey.
By increasing the mental awareness,
Yeah,
because everything that you receive, you somehow, we are trained to think that we are our mind. Like you can still watch your body, like you can see that, oh, this guy's body is doing that, this guy's good. You can still dissociate with your body, but not with your mind. Who is watching your mind when your mind is doing particular thing? So there are many classifications. So awareness of that will open you to all the possibilities. Once you're aware of that things can be worked on, you can resonate with many things. Just a little sound of a Tibetan ball can do a lot of things sometimes, like just one resonance, and it will bring you to that state, which makes you aware that there is work to be done here, or there is a lot of amazing things here, like whatever. Like everyone has their own experience, but to make yourself more aware that such things happen. And sounds, specifically sounds, can be used for transcendence, not just for entertainment. They are entertaining in any ways. If they are not sounding bad, they are entertaining in any ways. Like you can find your entertainment in anything. But deep sounds and things. And I would have also it's one of my cringe. That's why I'm just putting it out here. But I would also refrain from listening to songs that are just 1 or 2 minutes. Like, it doesn't give you enough depth or enough journeys. Like, you see the songs today, there are no bridges. Like, when I was in college, I would love the bridges, like Iron Maiden and any band, like all the bands, they have amazing bridges. They connect the words with the chorus with a bridge, and you feel like you have traveled somewhere, like you were somewhere else just 2 minutes ago, and now you're somewhere else. Nowadays the song starts from a single point and then ends at the same point, and it's like people are fucking enjoying it, like, wow, what an amazing song and everything. It's amazing, yeah, go have an entertainment for that, but also start incorporating deeper and longer versions of things, because it opens up your mind to go deep into everything. It's just a practice of doing that, and it's such an entertaining way to do it through sounds and music, right? Like, it's it's, it's a most popular hobby for a lot of people.
By the way, we are in the Instagram generation, so I think asking 1 minute is way too long. I think 10 seconds is the maximum cap for the
Our,
human mind.
yeah, attention span is too short now.
Yeah. Like, just think about Beethoven and all these people. They created amazing pieces, and they are too complex in its structure. They are not four chord things, or they are not some notes things. Like, they are just going deep into things and coming from a very different scale back to this. Why was that so amazing? Why were people so attracted to it? Why did it increase our consciousness to the level that we progressed in music? I really think that if we keep to this four chord pattern or just 1 minute songs, we are just deteriorating in this sector of our mind. So maybe start listening any songs. I don't even listen to the songs that I'm talking about. Listen to any songs that are long enough and connect with it. Like, you'll understand your way of connecting with these sounds and how do they affect you and how do they alter your consciousness. So go ahead. There are many artists right now aligned for this particular purpose, and they are making amazing things.
So the idea is being in a particular kind of sound and vibration for a longer time rather than switching over and again.
Like, the idea is to be aware that sound can affect you, and then give enough time to sound to affect you.
Oh,
So but
that's nice.
people attain it from very many different things, like even yoga and things. You find different kind of trance if you just try this activity. Try doing 12 rounds of sun salutations for next 3 months, and then after 3 months just do 12 sun salutations in 5 minutes, and then watch yourself. You're already like, you'll see yourself that you did take some psychedelic or something. Like, you're already flying and you feel so happy and euphoric and all those things. So there are many ways to understand yourself: sounds, exercises, many things, visuals, everything. There are strobe lights and things that they put for meditations when you come into different realms. So every sense of organ gives you a way to dive deep into it. So first, to have an awareness that things can be done like that, and then try the sounds, give them enough time. And once you're also easy doing all those things, go specific on what you want to hear or which part do you want to train at this time. And you will understand, like in your life you will understand that, wow, it's the lack of water that I'm having right now. Okay, I need to balance my water, so I'll go to my heart center and then enhance it in any way possible. So,
Yeah. So I think anybody else, if they wanna ask anything, Ajinkya is here. Like they can. It's an open thing. Arjun, you wanna share something? Hello, am I audible?
you are audible.
Yes, yeah, sorry, my computer's hanging a bit. Very strangely, it's happening for the first time. Um, but but generally, it's been quite insightful. Um, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, because in my screen everything's getting stuck. Anyway, it's a very auditory session anyway, so I think if audio is audible, that's nice. So it's been quite insightful, Ajinkya. In fact, I think everybody should give it a hear. The five tracks, the five elemental. So we're going to put the link up. Um, Vivek, if you can share the link, because my again for the same reason. I'm not, my screen's getting stuck.
Yeah, sure.
Uh,
I'll share the link.
and also now it's open for any questions. Uh, Feel free to ask. I mean, it's just a close-knit group of 16, 17 people, so feel free.
Oh, there's 16, 17 people I can.
Oh, you didn't know that there was anyone?
No, I saw some people.
No, there's quite a few people. So whoever wants to ask a question, just feel free. Somebody is also entering the room. I think Vivek, you'll have to add the person who's entering the room.
Elemental sound world. So what inspired you to create this particular piece of music?
Which one? The elemental sound was?
Yeah.
It's one track. Like it's like an encapsulation of all 5 elements we wanted, because we are in this Instagram
Okay.
thing, and it was against all the marketing rules to make tracks that are 15 minutes long or 20 minutes long and things. So we wanted to have a small track so that
Mhm.
we could go ahead with the marketing aspect of it. But I didn't feel like doing it. Like, so even after releasing, the releasing was like, it's an ever growing thing. I'm still working on its mixes, and I still keep enhancing the sounds of it. But it's a world where you're always insecure about theft. Like, if I would be using that online, the sounds, I didn't know if someone would just steal it from me and things. So I wanted to copyright them, and for that reason I put out the album. But then I didn't market it and do much of it, because the whole intent with which I made it, it was getting threatened with the marketing aspect of it. It was like, no, I don't want to push it onto people, and I don't want to put money and say that, yeah, this is going to work for you, this is going to, like, I'm still in an experimental zone. I am a curious guy, I keep experimenting. So I wanted the same kind of a vibe around it. So I was never too motivated to market it and things. So Elemental Sound Worlds was a track which was like an initiation to go into the elements. It's saying, it's asking, it has a prayer to the divine to open us for going deep into the 5 elements. So by design, it was like the first track, and then every other track to dwell into, like to go
It
in.
focuses to all the 5 elements, or
It is
especially
actually giving you it is giving you an idea of how the music is gonna be, what are the
Mhm.
voices in it, and what is the
Mhm.
concept, and it's a trailer
if
for
I if yeah, if I like, if I'm not from the music background and if I want to understand what's makes it different, like all 5 elements in terms of sound, how we can say like okay, particular sound resembles a particular element or something.
Again, it's about consciousness. It's the sound that remind you of the characteristic of that particular element. It's
Mhm.
only those sounds. Like, if you hear water flowing from it, you're gonna remember water, right? Like, it's just about
Right, right. Mm.
how you design that water, that it comes and goes in a nice way, is the part of designing. But by its nature, if you hear water, you're gonna hear water. And there are different instruments that also sounds like water. Like, if you're like the Swarvina that is also there in this photo that you put for this webinar. There is this instrument that I'm playing. It's wow, it's an amazing instrument. I love it. I would have showed it to you, but I'm in Kolkata and the instrument is in Delhi. But
Okay.
but it's an amazing instrument. The moment I play that in Vrindavani Sarang, there are different ragas. It feels like water. Like, it feels like water flowing, and it's so there are different instruments you can play, like the bass. When you play the bass, like a very punchy bass and things, it brings out the fiery element in you. Like, it doesn't depend what kind of track you're listening to it. But once you listen to those frequencies, it'll do something to you that is more fiery in nature. So
Yeah,
similarly, there were categorization of instruments and also sounds and also synthesis sounds, like sounds from synthesizers, like how to make it and all. It's a mixture of all those things. So
somebody asked here.
oh,
Paras Desai says, what are your thoughts about sound healing? Maybe using singing bowl, Tibetan singing bowl, or maybe some other instrument. But do you have anything to share on that?
yeah, it's a good way. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's I would say that it's more simplistic way of understanding things. You cannot ignore when a singing bowl is kept on your chest and you just vibrate the frequencies. If you want to say that there are frequencies traveling through your body, you just do it, it happens. So if you are just required to impart this whole concept to someone, it's a very effective way. It's a very effective way to do things. If it's complete, I am not so sure. If it's right now, I'm also a little cringed about this fact that anyone and everyone who's going for 15-day sound healing workshop, they're opening their own session for it, and like I don't know even if they're going deep into what these sounds are doing, but they just know it by concept. Just play some singing bowls and it's gonna happen. So I cringe at that fact, but I completely believe in its power. I have used Tibetan singing bowls in my album too. Like there was nothing else that could have replaced it. It was a specific requirement at places. So yeah, I believe in it. It's effective.
Also, we have a range of like we can also like find out a different singing bowl is tuned to different frequency, and yeah, and it is easy to connect with those vibrations at the point like when we are playing at that deep
Same with
vibration.
acutonics though. Like there are tuning
Yeah,
forks that people are using now. They hit the tuning fork, they put it at different places.
yeah.
You feel the vibration, you cannot ignore it. So there are more physical ways of showing the effect of sound, so they're effective.
Any other question? Anyone?
There's Rahul who has asked a question. It's a pretty long one. He's asking if there was a golden age from the 50s to 80s, hallmarked by originality of Shastriya Sangeet and ragas created by musicians like Shankar Jaikishan, Madan Mohan, etc. And has that sort of is that non-existent today, or is music getting diluted with time? You know,
Oh,
what's your thoughts about that? Is there
that's like
like how they say yugas are, there's the Kali Yuga that's coming, there's a degradation of consciousness.
yeah.
Does everything go hand in hand? Even music keeps getting, bite-sized pill type music.
It's a good question. It's actually a very good question. I would say, whew, like when I was growing up, I was very particular about if a person is singing right. If there is even one note wrong when they are singing, I would be galat kar diya, kharab kar diya types. I would be very critical about those things. And I learned Indian classical, and I was learning with that aspect that you don't miss a note. It is very important to take a note. And then further, when I was exploring music, and you go to shamanic music, and you also attend ceremonies like that, they are not in the scale, they are not in the notes. Like they are most of the time working with the dissonance. Dissonance is when two notes are fighting each other. So it's not also just singing bad, it's singing so precise that it's away from your scale, but it hits you in the right spots. So that is also possible. So if you talk about the science of it, anything and everything can work. Me singing with a guitar, maybe a little detuned guitar while I am on the scale, can also work. It depends. So there, the science is more deep than what we know, but what our ears love to hear is what sounds good. So of course, all the trained, amazingly trained musical artists, all these people, they did an amazing job. Of course, like that's why we could come to this place, because that happened in that time. That's why we are here and we can perceive those sounds. It can be used, of course, it can be used. I'm not so sure that if it is so effective for this generation. because Indian classical music had such a strong bass and such a strong color back in that time that everyone, even if they were not musicians, they would know the discipline spent on it. Like the artists are playing 10 hours a day and things like that. There were so many aspects of their discipline that were known to everyone. Right now we are in a time where anything can be synthesized. Like I could just take someone's voice, I could take your voice and put it on the notes and then make you sing classical thing. It can happen. It is possible. So the whole notion of the deep work that you put into your art that then you finally spread in your audience, it's getting missed. So I'm not so sure how much will it affect right now to just use it as sounds. Will it affect if there's an artist who has put that amount of work? Of course it's going to affect. Like um, I would have explained you so many things here by playing sounds, but I'm not doing that because there's a reason. The internet bandwidth that we hear is very small, and the sounds that I'm talking about, they go beyond the range of this bandwidth that is allowed for us to talk. It is only kept in a way that I'm audible to you and my speech is understandable. It's only for that. But you go deep in the frequencies, it can be even lower than 20 hertz and higher than 20,000 hertz that the sounds can be produced. Maybe not perceived by us, but they do affect the environment around us. So as we are going deep into technical things and all, the backing of all these things, like the backing of more deeper knowledge, can reduce the requirement of um, how do I say, how do I call a person who has been trained for a long time? Of this mature person who have been trained for a long time. So it can replace the need for it sometimes, and it can still work for you. So for us in this generation, when we are attracted by if the sounds are new or not, like there was this series, what do we call it? Bandish Bandits. Like the songs of these people are loving the songs, like because it's presented in a new way. It's the Indian classical, but with the new sounds and everything. People are loving it. That wow, amazing and all. But you just play them a sound from 80s about the same Indian classical thing, they might not sustain for 2 minutes. They'll be like, tika, I have different work to do. So the way we are perceiving it, it's important that we perceive it, we let it seep in us. So the gates that we have now put um, are more close for art forms like that, and more open for things that are coming and emerging new. So to answer the question, of course they can be used and they can do wonders again. Anything can do wonders again. But now, because with the use of new sounds, we have more ways to facilitate it.
Yes. I wanted to know one thing. Am I audible?
Yeah, you
This,
are.
there are many argument in the favor of it and against of it also, like 432 hertz and 440 hertz. These are the two frequencies in music, since you are associated with the music. And this is the question that every time comes in the mind, but we are not kind of finding the right kind of approach to see it. Maybe I want to hear your thoughts. How do you feel about it?
When I was learning into it, by the way, like I did all the tracks in 432, all the instruments tuned to 432, only fire is in 440. And the reason for that was when I was actually experiencing that, what is the change in 440 and 432? I would bring all the tracks that I loved back to my DAW, like my digital audio workstation, and I'll change their frequency to 432 and then hear it. Most of the people say that the 432 is more calming. It's like it brings you more calming effect, and the 440 is more harsh. I would say that if you go to 430 and not 432, you will feel that 430 is more calming than 432, because as you're going down, there is a calming and balancing effect to the whole thing. So that relativity, I don't believe in it, but I believe in the science of it. Like 432, 432 hertz, when multiplied and when brought out with the overtones, they make very constructive interferences with the nature around us. So I don't know how much it is affected for our body and things, but in entirety, I was very curious to know how does this interact. So I have versions in both 440 and 432, and I'm still in the experimenting process that which one is better, which one is not. But by design, I feel that 432 is more in line with the vibrations of every other thing that is here on the earth, on this planet. So yeah, maybe I will experiment with 432 more, and if I get something, of course I'll share.
There's a recent research where they played tracks tuned to 432 and 440 and checked people's oxygen levels, SpO2 levels, and this thing. And they figured out there's a small change. It's more calmer to listen to music in 432 as compared to 440. So
Exactly. If you're comparing, it's gonna be 430 is gonna be more calming than 432.
could be. But 432 also has this thing, no? It's a multiplier of 108 into 4.
Yeah.
108 and all of those natural.
It's actually satisfying the OCD of mind that everything should be a mathematical expression. So it's satisfying that part of mind. That makes 432 more important than 440 when it comes to healing. But yeah.
Thank you so much, Ajinkya,
Thank
for
you.
spending time and sharing all the insights. And to whoever attended, thank you so much on Mahashivratri for taking this time
Happy.
for a very
Yeah,
divine engagement. And definitely do listen to Ajinkya's tracks. The link is shared. And do keep following us. We just like Ajinkya, there are many musicians and people,
there's a lot
yoga
of other experts,
practitioners. Sorry,
a lot of other practitioners
yeah, a
all
lot of other
related to you.
practitioners who we keep inviting. And thank you so much for taking time. Link, please. Ruchi is asking. Ruchi, so we will share the link once we upload. The snippets of this recording. We'll put it up on the Instagram page, so you can follow sarvera.shala. And there's always some interesting things happening in the space of music, yoga, and all the affiliated spaces. By the way, if you were asking for Ajinkya's link for his website, that is ajinkyauplokwar.com, which has already been shared with you.
I'll find that in my
AJINKY.
bio also. I'm not so active on Instagram, but I've kept the required things there.
Okay, Ajinkya Uplokwar. Yep. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a beautiful Shivratri.
Yeah.
Beautiful day.
So much, everyone.
Thank you, Ajinkya, thank you everyone, and yeah, happy Mahashivratri, Har Har Mahadev.
Har Har Mahadev.
Mahadev.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye,
Bye.
see you again.